this video, we're going to be talking about the 1945 film noir, The Lost Weekend, which stars Ray Milland. It was directed by Billy Wilder. We're Coffee with Aliens at the Movies, a film education and film review channel. My name is Robert Bellissimo. I'm an actor and acting teacher.
I'm Steve Chambers. I'm a writer and actor.
And if this is your first time here, or if you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to our channel by clicking on the red watermark in the bottom right of your screen, and then click the bell in order to get notifications every time we go live or release a new video. So this is your film noir pick today, Steve. The Lost Weekend. Just before I jump into it, because I know this is one of those choices that people are on the fence about, whether it's film noir or not. You know, Eddie, the guy who hosts the Noir Alley show on TCM, Eddie Muller, has said it's up to the audience, right? And this book here, this great TCM, for anyone who's going to comment and get angry about us doing the Lost Weekend, there it is. There's the proof.
So suck it.
There you go. The TCM said it, for people who don't believe experts.
So did anyway, Wikipedia, I think.
Yeah, there's many websites, industry, IMDb, they all list it as noir.
This movie is not only a study of alcoholism, but a rare for that time shot picture of alcohol. At the heart of it, I mean, it's a hard pill to swallow. It's a hard story. Tell you why it has the feeling of a horror movie, because I can say this as an alcoholic recovering myself, an addict myself. It is a fucking horror movie. Even with the theremin, that's the instrument that the Star Trek-y music, which was, I think, the first mainstream film to use that, scored, I think, amazingly by Miklos Rosa.
Oh, it's brilliant.
This kind of, you know, captured a lot of it. It's a story of a guy who's, at this point, fooled his brother and his girlfriend into thinking I'm on the wagon, going sober, and gets them to leave him alone. And then we watch him go on a 3-4 day bender. And in that, we see what happens. We see where his mind goes, and we see the battle of addiction, and in the storytelling, it does just kind of go through the 4 days like a horror movie, but it also uses flashbacks, because this guy recounts, mainly to his bartender, excellently played by Howard Da Silva.
Oh, he's great.
He is great. We should say, sorry, the lead actor, Ray Milland, won an Oscar for this. Deservedly, right. I think. And I also understand that when this was first shown without a score, the audience laughed at it. And I can see that. It is big. It's bigger than this kind of film being made now, and it has been made many times since. But that score, again, really helped it. But as I say, it's showing the story of 4 days in the life of a guy really, really, if you're an addict, things don't stay even. They will get worse. It's fact. It's fact. I had a therapist once tell me it's like paying on credit card. You can keep racking up. You can keep going. Eventually, you got to pay the piper. And this film shows us, you got to shit or get off the pot. Something's going to happen. I mean, you're going to end your life or you're going to clean up. I mean, this is where this guy's at. And in showing us that, we see him recount how he met this woman, played by Jane Wyman, who, I agree with something you'd written me. She conveniently saves him. It is a little wrapped up at the end. It's a Hollywood movie from 1945. What are you going to do? I do think that the ending, to quote you, and I agree, was too easy. Because it doesn't work that way. You don't just make a clean break and, hey, I'm all done. Oh, here we go. But I think what we're looking at is this man's final decision. He did make a decision at the top of the film, like, I'm going in and I'm going deep. And every time an addict goes on a bender, it isn't, like I say, it's not social partying. It gets darker and darker and more desperate. Until, if you're lucky enough, you make that decision to try to turn your life around. And our hero here, Don Burnham, does make that choice. Again, a little conveniently, sure. But in the telling of the story, in the horror, like literal, this is a horror film to me. And I think that wasn't lost on Billy Wilder, the director. It did treat it as such. I mean, talk about specific scenes. Him being locked away at Bellevue, which they had actual permission to shoot in Bellevue Hospital in New York City, and seeing that.
Yeah, I read that.
Suffering withdrawal and the DTs and hallucinations is a real thing. It's a horror movie. And the only way to kind of stop that is to drink more, unfortunately. And we see him do that. And a scene that stood out to me when I first saw this, because I didn't get it, I thought it was interesting, and now I get it, is toward the beginning of his drinking in this film, he buys, I think, two big bottles of rye whiskey to start.
Yeah.
And like any good alcoholic or drug addict, you're going to hide your stash in case someone comes home. Where does he hide it? He hides it up in a light fixture. And I've been here, man. He finishes that first bottle, goes to the bar, has what he sure qualifies as a good time, but then it gets bad. I need that second bottle. The search for it, oh my God. It's like, you're like an archaeologist looking for the bones of Jesus. Like it's really intense. And how he finds it in this film, he gives up, he's desperate, drenched in sweat. There it is. He sees the shadow. He sees it up in the light fixture, and the salvation. That I thought was very, very well done. It is that dramatic, folks. For people going, he's so dramatic. Walk a mile in that man's shoes. It is that intense.
Because he ultimately has to save himself, right? No one can, even though
no one can. And you know what? And that's a fact. No one can. No program can. You got to want to do it. They kind of make it, well, for the love of a woman, I'll do it. Let me tell you something. If you're trying to quit smoking, if you're trying to quit shopping, anything for someone else, it's not going to work. You got to want to do it. That's it. It sounds easy, and it's not. But you got to.
Wasn't it also because of the book, though? Because then she made him realize he could just write his story in the book, and that's ultimately what, makes him, like that was what the whole time, it's like he started to drink because he felt he was a writer.
That's actually a good point. You know what? I was going to shoot that down, but there's something to that. It does mean something. He talks about this early. He wants to write a book called The Bottle, which is about alcoholism. And he says he wants to do it, but the way he explains it to his bartender is this big kind of fanciful, romanticized version of booze. So I don't think that's the book he wants to write. But either way, being drunk, you're not going to accomplish anything. You're not going to write that book. So yeah, fair enough. Maybe knowing, okay, I got to get my act together to write this book. But then if you do that, who's to say when you finish that book, you don't go out and celebrate? So it's still got to be because you want to do it. That's it. To live. Not just for your girlfriend, your brother, for your career, for you. You want to breathe air. That's it. The Jane Wyman character, he has her strength. Like someone's got his back. And that's important. Because if all your friends are going, keep drinking, who cares? Or they're saying, you keep drinking, we're done. Tough love or whatever, it doesn't help. But if someone goes, hey, you're going to struggle. Yeah. It's going to be ugly. I'm going to be with you every step of the way. That's different. You're still going to do it for you. Yeah. And maybe that's what the film's saying. And part of doing it for you is you can accomplish your goals. Yeah. But you can't do them while you're drinking, man. So I think there's a lot in there. So maybe after the credits of The Lost Weekend, the Don Burnham character goes sober for a month, 2 months, drinks again, falls down again, literally and figuratively, picks himself back up again. I don't know. But it isn't clean cut. I don't think it ever happens that way. Not that I know of.
Plus the way it opens is that he basically had told his brother, like it looked like he had made a decision to stop.
You're not wrong.
And then he's lying.
And he was sober at the beginning.
I love that. It's just you see the bottle outside the window, and the camera is also outside the window, and it starts to move in, and then he looks out, and you know right away that he's an alcoholic. I thought it was a perfect shot
I
to
don't disagree with
introduce
you. I don't
that.
disagree with that. Yeah, I
And
think
then when
you're
the
dead right.
brother pours it out, and then he's like, "Well, yeah, I mean, I forgot about it. And even if I knew about it, I wasn't gonna touch it." So it's like
Right.
he already that tells me he already has tried to stop, and he just can't.
Yeah, that's a good
So
point. Yeah.
in the end, it can't just be another, okay, I'll stop, but then tomorrow we don't see tomorrow, right? But
That's right.
it's just that he's made that choice that he has to save
Exactly.
himself, right? So
I think you're right. Billy Wilder, who funnily enough, I keep wanting to say, well, I love him. And I always think of him as a comedic director, but no, where did I get that? No, he's not. He
yeah.
actually does
Oh, he was
a
such
lot
a
of
good
drama.
director. He was a great director.
Well,
Made
the
so many.
story that this started because of Double Indemnity, working with Raymond Chandler, who was at the
Right.
time recovering alcoholic. And because of the difficulty they're having making that film, he started drinking again. And part of Wilder's wanting to make The Lost Weekend was to show Chandler, like, this is what you look like. Like, this is what we're dealing with, man, because you get it together, but then you do this.
And apparently, I don't know if you knew this, but just before we started recording, this book is basically what critics were saying at the time. It's like a reference book.
Right.
And Billy Wilder said in an interview that he mainly did it as a reaction to the Hays Code, to say, "Oh yeah, you're gonna censor us? Well, it's like, fuck you, I'm doing this, right?" So yeah, apparently, because he said, well, now we just have to keep remaking the same old shit because they're censoring everything.
Right.
And so he's like, okay, well then, this is obviously, he worked around the Hays Code here. There's no nudity, there's no sex, there's no one's committing adultery, right? So there was nothing. That's why he was able to get it through the censors. But that it was a reaction to the Hays Code and to what you said about Chandler. But
I didn't know about the Hays Code. That's really interesting.
I didn't know either. This is actually a really interesting book. And you know what I never found that Ray Milland was over the top. But I know people have said that. I think people can't believe some of the things that happen.
I agree. Yeah.
And they think it's over the top, but the performance is incredible.
I think
I didn't realize he was like a matinee idol before that.
Yeah.
And this was a risk. Like his agent said, you're going to commit career suicide, but obviously he had a craving to do something different. But the desperation,
yes,
the loneliness, even when he talks to those bartenders I think it was on a Sunday, he's like, why isn't any of the bars open? He's like, oh, it's a Jewish holiday. He's like, what about the Irish places? It's kind of funny in a way. They're like, well, we have a deal when it's St. Patrick's Day, we close, and when it's our holidays, they close. And he's like, you think this is a joke? But just like everything is like life or death for this guy. Every scene,
it is. That's right.
If he doesn't get what he wants, there's a major consequence to his
really
health and his emotional life. And I didn't realize that you can have those kind of what's the word?
Hallucination, DTs, withdrawal.
Hallucination, like when he sees the bat eating the mouse and the screaming. That scene is terrifying. I thought, is that accurate? But you say it is, so that's interesting. I didn't know that. Scene where on the hospital ward they wore, that nurse was such an asshole to him. I thought he was like condescending, like laugh, like I thought. I wondered why that they had, like, he wasn't compassionate at all. I that must have been a conscious direction from Wilder. Why they made that choice?
Absolutely.
I'm not quite sure. I guess perhaps they were saying like no one empathizes with this guy, even the doctors.
That's right.
It's like you're a burden.
You did it to yourself.
I hated that guy. Yeah, you did it to yourself. I hated that guy.
Not
the actor. I thought the performance was great, but just the guy itself. And he tells him about the Beatles. The other guy was hallucinating that he sees Beatles in his bed. And
everyone's got a thing.
I was curious if you thought the fact that this guy began to drink over the fact that he was a failed writer was enough for him to go that far.
No, I think it's an amalgamation of things. I don't think anything's cut and dry. I think, again, listen, people have different opinions. Some people say it's a genetic disease. It's going to happen no matter what. Like, you could be living all your dreams. You're still going to be an addict. Other people say it's because of childhood trauma. I don't know. Either way, I know it's not one thing. So it's maybe what led him to being a failed writer. What's the monster inside that's been eating at him? And the not doing well at writing is just one of the side effects. The drinking is a side effect. Who knows what else is going on in his life? But there's obviously some deep emotional distress that.
I read that in the book. In the book, it's apparently like because he was struggling with the fact that he was gay and couldn't come out.
Yes. There's that. That's right.
Put that in the movie at that time.
No, because they thought they were taking enough risk making a film that featured an alcoholic as a lead character. You can't make him gay too. It was just too much for 19.
That wouldn't have been released or made.
No, I think that's true. Now in the book, I haven't read the book, but my understanding is I think the ending is a little more realistic and darker too.
I'm just curious if you knew where people can stream it.
The only place I could find was YouTube to rent or buy.
Same. There's a great free internet library called archive.org where you can watch this for
I know.
free. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Again, if this is your first time here, or if you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to our channel by clicking on the Coffee with Aliens at the Movies logo to my top right here, and then click the bell in order to get notifications every time we release a new video or go live. Thank you so much again, and we will see you next time.